So, Tamara, why don't you go ahead and unmute and join us, and we'll just jockey some guests around here. I always start off with, that assumption that this is the first time people have heard what you're doing. What you're doing is Cyber Patriot. However, I noticed you were watching the show early on, and everybody was talking about Cyber Patriot. So we sort of got a pre-introduction there, but why don't you go ahead and define it for folks out there who may not really totally understand what you're doing?
Absolutely, thanks. So Cyber Patriot is now global. And I focus mostly on Cyber Patriot here in Michigan, but it is a global cyber competition. It's actually a whole K through 12 kind of program. At the K through 5 place, they do awareness training with free games that you can just download, and anyone can do that. Even as me as a grandma, I can download them for my grandkids, or the schools can download them and use them. And then when the kids get into middle school and high school, we've gotten them aware about what cyber is and how to protect themselves. And so then we start the competition, and that competition runs from October until April. And then in the summertime, we run summer camps. And so it really is running year round with practices and all the kinds of things that you do. And then these kids go head to head nationally in a virtual space. So we didn't miss any beats when we all had to go virtual for schools. And so it's got a very low barrier to entry. It's only $205 per team. And if you break that down per head, that would be $40 a person for an entire season, and $165 if you're in middle school. There's 3 levels of play, so anybody can get in the game. If you're just a beginner and you don't really know what you're doing, you can play. And if you're really advanced in computing, you can also play at the higher level. They even have programs in here for senior citizens. And so we have the teens helping senior citizens, and really anyone who wants to help senior citizens, because they are sort of the most vulnerable population that we have when it comes to cybercrime. And so there's a free program for that. So both for the K through 5 and for the senior citizens, you can just download stuff and start right away practicing what good cybersecurity practices are. And so very excited. We're starting the 14th season of Cyber Patriot.
Huh. And how is the registration going for the 14th season?
So we're a bit behind. Last year we were too. I do have to, I work with the schools across the state of Michigan, and I got to tell you that we're kind of in emergency mode with our teachers. And so things are not going as well as they could be. They're understaffed, overworked. That's kind of like always with them, but it's been even more so because of COVID. We had a whole bunch of folks who retired, and folks that are a little leery about the whole, in person and all that kind of good stuff. So there's a lot of stressors there. So our teachers are a little bit more leery to do after school programs on top of what they're doing, in the schools. So we are down a bit. I'm sad to say that we are, both nationally and here in Michigan. I have a feeling that as we move forward, things will get better. I do know that in the summertime, I was kind of worried about down numbers for my summer camps, and that didn't seem to be the issue. Kids were looking for things to do, even though they had been, doing online school all year round. When it came time to summer, they didn't mind sitting in an online class. In fact, they were pretty excited about it. So I think once people know about this and understand how easy it is to implement, which is why I'm here all the time, I think that helps, right? And the more people I can expose to it, the better it's going to be for all of us. Because like you said, this is a critical national problem, right? With this, and like Laura said, it takes a long time to get these kids through the system.
Yeah,
what can our listeners do to help you get more kids? Give us some ideas. There's Absolutely. A lot of people in IT and tech that watch this program and listen to it, hopefully, and maybe we can get you some help.
Absolutely. I hope so. And in the past, it's been wonderful. I've had quite a few times during the last 7 years that I've been doing this, I've had more volunteers than I had schools. So what I need volunteers, right? I need you to talk about it with your schools. I need you to go to your teacher, your IT teachers at school and put a bug in their ear and tell them about it. Give them my email address, and we'll walk them through it so that they are not afraid. One of the things that's part of this is a mentor program, and it's always been a part where someone from industry who knows their way around cybersecurity volunteers their time to come into the classroom and help out, and so that it's not a big lift on the teacher, right? Because these teachers are just overwhelmed, right? So if we can have folks like that are your audience come in, and the cool part about the whole virtual piece, or that one of the good things about COVID, sorry, and there's few, but is that everyone's used to virtual now. So it's not quite as big a lift. Before, traditionally, we would have had someone stop by after class, after school was over, and sit down through, and go through stuff physically with the kids. And teach them some cyber security stuff. Now we can do it through Zoom. So you don't even have to leave work. You can just tell the boss, hey, I'm going to half an hour where I'm going to be, or I mean, an hour where I'm going to go do some community service. And it can be anywhere in Michigan. The other problem that we always had was we have the I-94 corridor pretty well covered with mentors. But once you get past that, it was getting kind of sketchy. So we really need everybody in the game. We need them to come and volunteer. And it really is how much time you have, right? So it could be once a month you volunteer for an hour. It could be several times a week. Really depends on what you want to put into the game. And the same goes for the teachers and the kids too. It really depends on how much they want to, do, and it sort of shows in how they place, right? And I'm so excited about the state. The second year, the state is actually acknowledging our state champions, and so I'm pretty excited about that.
That is pretty cool.
It seems with as many corporations that are begging for these positions, it seems that if these corporations were smart, they would have some of their people work with these kids to kind of get them exposed to XYZ corporations. So when they do graduate, then, hey, I want to work for them because I've already been playing, working with them for 10 years kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But are you seeing that at all?
Not so much. We try. We hope. The ones that are volunteering, for sure that's happening with them. And it's a model that the federal government has been using for quite some time, right? So we have SFS, which is students who get scholarships, and they have to then go work for the government in order to pay back that scholarship. We've had many of them at UDM, and Davenport has had quite a few, and so they get it. That if you put some skin in the game and you get them into your culture, and you show them all the things that you have to offer as an employer, and help them along the way, help them get into the industry that they want to get into, then they have that, where they want to pay you back. They want to be in that culture. They want to be a part of that company because it took them when they weren't quite qualified yet, but it helped to mold them. And that's really important. And just having, men, women, every culture, every different kind of diversity that there can be is also really important, because I hate to break it to you, but the bad guys are diverse. And so it's really important that we get these employees that are diverse out into the public, right? Get these kids to see themselves in these jobs. And so it is vital that you guys step up, that the industry steps up and gets into the game.
Good.
All right, and
tell us a little bit. I mean, I know you have a new role with something called Auto-ISAC. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, if you could? First of all, starting with what is Auto-ISAC?
Right. So just to let folks know, right? So an Auto-ISAC is an automotive sharing and an analyst center, and we have these kind of ISACs for all of the critical infrastructures across the country. So they were brought in to be a information sharing in the cybersecurity space. And so this is for the auto and transportation area. And so I was brought in as the lead for education, training, and awareness. And so really excited. This is my 7th week. It's a new change, right? So I came from higher ed for the last 17 years, and now I'm working in the automotive industry, and I'm getting to know all these new acronyms that I never knew existed. A whole new ones, the new industry, right? But I'm so excited about the work I'm doing, though, because the work I'm doing is to try to get to take the National Highway Transportation Society Safety Association and the Department of Transportation gave the ISAC aegis to put together specific training for for cybersecurity, auto, and all the supply chain, right? So this industry is unique, just like any other of the ISAC. So there's a financial ISAC, there's a medical ISAC, there's an agricultural ISAC. This one is different, right? And so coming out of a general degree of cyber, you need a little extra, right? You need to have that training that makes you auto. And also, if you have what they do back in all of their employees, their IT, their OT, their engineers, cyber wasn't around when they were educated, right? So they're current employees. So how do we get those people up to speed? We're able to we're putting together, and they've been working on it for several years now, a curriculum and courseware of training that can get these people up to speed quickly. So we're just polishing, right? They're already a finished product, and we're just helping them get to where they need to for the auto industry, so that when they get back to work, they can hit the ground running and protect this industry from cyber attacks.
Yeah, certainly with all the connected vehicles, it's amazing. Of course, you can't get any chips right now to put in them, but eventually that'll change, right? But I mean, you've got all the vehicles that are not only connected in the sense of connected with other vehicles, they're connected with just everything around them. It's amazing. I mean, Bill Gates said 20 years ago that cars are just computers on four wheels. We've really become that now. So yeah, it's a challenge, and as you know, the bad guys look for the easiest way to get into a network. And if you got a car that's vulnerable, that's connected to a big network of cars, or connected to GM or wherever, well, that might be your entry point, right?
It certainly is. I mean, always the weakest point, right? You're not going to go right straight at the wall, where you're going to try to find where the weaknesses are. And again, that's why we're going to trying to get their employees up to speed, so that they can be, leading edge. And the nice part about this is it's a pilot, and it's been funded by NHTSA. And the cool part is that we're going to do our pilot starting in November. We'll do our alpha testing, and then in the spring we'll do our beta testing, and it's basics cybersecurity for those that are they're already engineers, they're already current employees in management or in engineering, and they need to know what that cyber stuff is. And then also the advanced things, where we're going to get to go over to ACM, over to the mobility center, and do some real hands-on cool stuff over there. For the advanced courses. And so it's groundbreaking, and it's going to be live, right? So it's not going to be a dead kind of thing where we put this curriculum together and then we forget about it and we just leave it get old. We're going to continue to update it all the time. And the really nice part was the industry themselves has a voice in this. They're putting this together. So they have gone through and reviewed absolutely every step of the way. They'll be reviewing surveys after the classes are taken. We will fix things that need to be fixed on the fly, and we'll continue to improve all the time. It'll be something that continues to improve. Right now we have some partners. Roush is our main university partner for the pilot program, but we'll be branching out to universities across the country and across the world, actually, because this is a global problem. And we'll have partners all over that are helping us to deliver this training to everybody that needs it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you where you're going to actually do the work, but it sounds like you're going to be at ACM in Ypsilanti Township, which I've toured a couple of times. That's an absolutely marvelous facility for testing autonomous and connected vehicles.
I'm very excited about that piece. That's the hands-on piece. The other part will be all the basic stuff will all be done online and on demand. So that's going to be really cool too, because it can work around people's work schedules, that kind of thing. And then don't let me forget to tell you before I run out of time. If I did it, I would be in such trouble. But we have our annual Auto Cyber Summit coming up October 13th and 14th. And it's going to be held both in person and virtually. So if you're inclined to come and network physically, it's going to be down at the RenCen, the Marriott RenCen downtown. GM is our sponsor and has helped make that happen there. And then it'll also be virtual. And they have all kinds of, it's not just a Zoom meeting that's going to be kind of dead and whatever. They've got huge production products that's going to come out. It's going to be a very, very interactive virtual space. So I'm pretty excited about being involved in that as well.